the cleaner who paid off others' debts. In a bustling city where skyscrapers glistened under the morning sun and hurried footsteps echoed through marble hallways, there lived a woman named Lila. Most people passed her without a second glance, a figure in a faded blue uniform, pushing a cleaning cart through office corridors, her hair tucked carefully beneath a cap. She was known as the night cleaner, the one who swept away the day's dust and left everything shining for those who would return at dawn. Few ever paused to ask her name, and fewer still wondered about her story. Yet beneath that unassuming exterior was a heart of remarkable resilience and an extraordinary spirit. Lila arrived in this city years ago, her pockets nearly empty but her hopes full to the brim. Her journey had been long and difficult. She had grown up in a small village, where opportunity was scarce and hardship frequent. The youngest of 6 children, she learned early that life was rarely fair, but kindness could be a powerful force. Her mother, a seamstress, had always said, "If you have 2 loaves of bread, share one. If you have one, share half." Those words became the quiet anthem of Lila's life. When she first arrived in the city, the world seemed impossibly large. She took whatever work she could find, washing dishes in a crowded diner, folding linens in a laundry, and eventually, cleaning offices at night. The job was hard, the hours long, but she found solace in the steady rhythm of her work, in the gleam of polished floors and the quiet hush of empty rooms. It was during one of those silent nights that the story began. One evening, as Lila dusted the office desks, she noticed a woman sitting alone, her head in her hands. It was unusual, most workers had long since left. Concerned, Lila approached softly. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. The woman looked up, startled, her eyes rimmed with red. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stay so late. It's just, today's been hard." Lila offered a kind smile, the sort that comes from understanding pain. "Sometimes, it helps to talk." The woman hesitated, then spoke. Her name was Maria. She was struggling to pay off a hospital bill for her child. The debt hung over her like a cloud, and every day she worried she would lose her apartment, her job, her hope. Lila listened quietly. She did not offer grand advice or empty promises. She simply listened, her presence a gentle reassurance. That night, as she walked home beneath the city lights, Lila thought about Maria. She remembered her mother's words, and the times she had been helped by strangers when she needed it most. She knew what she had to do. The next day, Lila visited the hospital and inquired about Maria's bill. It was more than she had in savings, but she offered what she could and arranged to pay the rest in installments. She did not tell Maria what she had done. She simply left a note one evening, tucked beneath Maria's keyboard. "There is hope in this world. Sometimes it finds you when you least expect it." When Maria discovered her debt had been paid, she was overcome with disbelief and gratitude. She asked everyone in the office, but no one claimed responsibility. The mystery became a quiet legend whispered among the staff, a story of hope in a world that too often felt cold. But Lila's kindness did not end there. As months passed, she learned of others who struggled, an elderly security guard whose wife was ill, a receptionist facing eviction, a young intern burdened by student loans. Each time, Lila found a way to help. Sometimes it was money, other times, it was a meal left anonymously, a note of encouragement, or help navigating a bureaucratic maze. She did not seek recognition. Her joy came from knowing she had lightened someone's load, if only for a moment. As word spread, though never directly traced to her, something remarkable happened. The office, once a place of quiet competition and polite distance, began to change. People started looking out for one another. They brought extra coffee for colleagues, organized small fundraisers for those in need, and offered rides home on stormy nights. The spirit of generosity that Lila had sown began to ripple outward, touching lives she would never even know. But even as kindness flourished, Lila's own struggles did not disappear. Her small apartment was drafty, and some months, she barely made rent. Yet she never complained, nor did she expect anything in return. When thanked, she would simply smile and say, "We're all in this together." One winter, when an unexpected illness forced her to miss work, the true measure of her impact became clear. The staff she had helped, many of whom still did not know her name, came together to care for her. They organized meal deliveries, pooled funds to cover her rent, and visited her with cards and flowers. For the first time, Lila found herself on the receiving end of the very kindness she had given so freely. As she recovered, she realized that generosity is not a one-way street. It is a cycle, a bond that draws people together and transforms communities. By helping others, she had inspired them to help in turn, creating a network of support that lifted everyone. Years passed, and Lila continued her quiet work. She never sought acclaim or recognition. Yet, her legacy endured, in the smallest gestures of kindness, in the friendships formed over shared struggles, in the hope that bloomed where despair had once taken root. One day, a little girl approached her as she polished the marble floors. "Are you the angel?" the girl asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Lila knelt beside her and smiled. "No, sweetie, I'm just someone who believes that a little bit of kindness can change the world." The girl grinned, hugged her, and ran off, her laughter echoing through the halls. Lila watched her go, her heart full. She knew she had made a difference, not by grand gestures, but by the quiet, persistent power of compassion. The lesson she left behind was simple, yet profound. You do not need wealth, power, or fame to change the world. All you need is the courage to care, the willingness to listen, and the heart to act. For in every act of kindness, no matter how small, there is the power to create hope, to heal wounds, and to spark a chain reaction that can illuminate even the darkest corners. As the city continued to bustle and the world spun on, Lila's story became a quiet legend, a reminder that sometimes, the greatest heroes are those whose names we never know, but whose hearts shape the world for the better. And so, the cleaner who paid off others' debts became a beacon of hope, proving that one person's kindness can change countless lives, and that the ripple of a single good deed can become a wave of compassion that touches us all. In the years that followed, the story of the anonymous cleaner spread beyond the walls of that office building. It became a whispered inspiration in cafes and parks, a tale shared between friends and families. People began to look at those around them with new eyes, wondering what hidden stories lived behind every uniform, every tired smile, every quiet, "good evening." Children at a nearby school collected coins in a jar labeled, "for someone who needs it more," and families in the neighborhood organized food drives and coat collections each winter. The spirit of giving, once sparked by Lila's quiet acts, took root in the community, binding people together with threads of shared humanity. One day, a journalist, intrigued by the rumors of the anonymous benefactor, visited the office building to investigate. She interviewed dozens of employees, each with their own story of how their lives had been touched by a mysterious helper. But when she finally met Lila, she saw only a woman with gentle eyes and a humble smile, polishing a brass nameplate in the hallway. "Are you the one they're all talking about?" the journalist asked. Lila paused, her eyes twinkling. "I think there are many heroes in this building. Some you can see, some you cannot." The journalist pressed further, but Lila simply nodded and returned to her work, leaving the answer as mysterious as ever. The article, when published, focused not on unmasking the hero, but on the power of everyday kindness. It urged readers to look around, to see the invisible struggles of those they passed each day, and to remember that compassion could begin with a single gesture, an open hand, a listening ear, a shared smile. The story resonated deeply, especially in a world often divided by differences and hardened by cynicism. People found inspiration not just in Lila's generosity, but in her humility. She reminded them that anyone could be a force for good, regardless of their circumstances. In time, the building established a kindness fund, an anonymous pool to help any staff member in need. It was used to pay for medical bills, car repairs, emergency childcare, and more. Each year, the fund grew, as more and more people contributed, inspired by the legend of the cleaner whose kindness knew no boundaries. But for Lila, it was never about recognition or reward. She continued her nightly rounds, her footsteps echoing through the quiet corridors, her heart content. She saw the world not through the lens of what was lacking, but through the beauty of what could be shared. And in doing so, she taught those around her that the true measure of a life is not found in wealth or status, but in the warmth we bring to others, the burdens we help carry, and the hope we nurture in the hearts of those who need it most. Lila's story reminds us all that our actions, no matter how small, can ripple outward in ways we may never fully see. A single act of kindness, born of empathy and love, can plant seeds of change that blossom long after we are gone. So let us remember the lesson of the cleaner who paid off others' debts, that within each of us lies the power to transform the world, one quiet act at a time. And perhaps, the next time you pass someone in a faded uniform, or see a weary face in the crowd, you'll pause, offer a smile, and remember that we are all connected by the invisible threads of compassion, a tapestry woven stronger each time we choose to care. For in the end, it is not the grand gestures or the famous names that change the world, but the everyday kindnesses that remind us of our shared humanity, and the simple truth that when we lift up one, we lift up us all.